All right, so I'll start at the beginning here. Let's go back to season 3. And
Okay, yes.
okay,
To
so let's
when
go
to
back.
when we first meet.
Yeah. All right, let's start there. Okay. First of all of these funny things are coming back to me, knowing that I'm going to be talking to you because it's been such a while that I've even thought about this. Um, I remember all of these funny things, especially with that dude, Mystical Mike, which is so funny that he's such an insignificant part of all of it. And I don't even think they even put him on there because he had some substantial art skills. I think they thought, oh my God, this guy's going to be a fucking mess and it's going to be fabulous. Right.
I can imagine him on. I had him on the show as well. He wasn't prepared, and he kind of explained, he was young and he didn't think he should be there, so he had to put on this bravado act, and and also was homosexual, and that was
Oh,
a so he already had this mask that he operated through to avoid all this hate that he had gotten in high school that had actually been directed at his mother. Man, I'm telling this whole sub story. It's not my but I did want to I guess let just with everything, obviously this deeper, but you're absolutely spot on. He was not ready to be there. He felt it too. And now at one point you and him got in a fight, and it about got my ass kicked. Do you remember this at all?
really?
Oh yeah.
I don't remember how it involved you, but I remember that. So here's the thing: is it's unfortunate that he felt that way because I thought that he was like a pretty cool dude, and I was probably one of the only of all of the 16 people there that was like, I saw something and I'm like, all right, this guy's pretty cool. Like, he's kind of weird, he's kind of random, but he's got something there. He was an
Mm-hmm.
interesting individual, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
no, I
and
follow. I think
and I
the
tried
cameras
to.
saw the same thing because that motherfucker is asked about. I have this podcast. We talk to people. I do all these tattoo conventions. I'm all across the country. Everybody asks, points out Mystical. Everybody knows him. He was on for like 2 fucking episodes.
But I little things about him, which there's a couple of things in my mind I'll bring up. But what happened with the fight part is I pulled him aside one day in the hallway, right? Uh Behind the kitchen area. I pulled him aside. I said, check it out, dude. I go, when people are frustrated with you because when they ask you a question, instead of like eloquently answering, you randomly filibuster a bunch of dog shit, and instead of just saying something intelligent and then shutting the fuck up, right? and
Yes, that's
and
a
I go,
good. He was a walking filibuster. Yeah.
I was like, but if you just, I'm trying to help you because I see something in you. I think you're a cool person. Just, you might get less wrath from all of these people who are serious artists if you could just tone it down a touch. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Anyway,
And
and so the
then
whole time,
promptly he throws you under the bus when you go
yes,
downstairs. Was
sir.
this okay? I was wondering how much sooner because he wasn't even there for that long. So it would have had to been within the next couple of days. Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty soon, which I was kind of shocked because I like totally had his back and I tried to be a friend to him when people fucking hated this guy. And I just remember it was funny because when we went upstairs after he threw me under the bus, all of us were up there in the living room area, right? And they start rolling
Hmm.
cameras. And I go, I got something to say. And it was fucking crickets in there. You could have heard a pin drop, dude. It was hilarious. Oh my gosh. And then all of that happened that you saw. How did that affect you?
Well, that's exactly it right there. The way they can do editing. So they have me saying to somebody something about fuck off or something. And then they have you saying, fuck you, I'll put my foot up your ass or something to Mystical. And they cut it together as a commercial, and it completely 100% looks like I am just disrespecting you like a motherfucker if you
Oh,
watch
yeah,
the commercial.
all that. Oh,
and,
yeah.
and
Keep
removed
it
from that
true.
context, I believe your husband at the time had seen it and was not happy about it. And you know who he is. He's not the. I would not want to stand in a fight. Like I developed skills at fighting called with running. I have pretty good endurance and cardio. and I
Oh
will
my
put
God,
those two
that's so
things
funny.
together and I will live. But I mean, that's the only chance that I really have against someone. Your husband was I mean, he filled up my doorway. He's what, 7 foot tall and 352 pounds. I'm not wrong.
Oh my
So,
God.
and he got mad when he seen it. You told me, you in hindsight, you told me, oh, funny little story. And we were just seeing him. That was that weekend at the
Premiere.
yes. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I'm like, oh, you're making me feel really comfortable. She's like, funny story. My husband was about to kill you.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I didn't even realize that happened. Anyway, so which funny thing about Mystical Mike. Okay, something that I'll never forget, right? And other than that time that he totally threw me under the bus when I had his back, I thought highly, relatively high of this kid. I'm like, all right, he's young, he's ridiculous, but he there's he does have a brain, and maybe I could help this guy,
And
right?
he has those. Is it? Come on, let's be honest. He has those soft little puppy dog eyes. Am I wrong? He looks like who should Kelly Doty should draw him like that. Every character that she draws is pretty much really. He has better eyes than Dave Navarro. Dave Navarro has intense eyes, but if you took Dave Navarro's hair and you put it on a Mystical Mike, I do like that's the face you really want, right?
Oh my
Ain't it?
gosh. That's so funny. Okay, so check this out. Let me paint this picture for you because it is burned into my mind. Okay.
Yes.
Do you remember when we did the grills
Oh
on the
God.
cars, like, right? So
Yeah.
there were like teams of 3 people. I remember it was myself, Jason Clay Dunn, and
Yeah. I
I
worked
can't
with
think of
Mystical.
I can't think of his name. Oh my gosh, he's a sweetheart. Why can't I think? Anyway,
Jason Clay, was it Chris May?
no, not Chris Mayhole. He's a sweetheart too. No, oh my gosh, I can't think of it. Anyway,
It wasn't the winning one. That was Joey and Jackie Jennings,
no,
right?
he
No,
was the
wait.
other tall guy with the beard. Anyway, um, why I feel so silly. I can't think of his name. Anyway, super cool dude. Anyway, so there's 3 of us, and I actually drew out the thing. Anyway, my point is not the contest part. My point is pre-contest. We're standing outside of this building, right? This like glass walled building that has all these beautiful cars in it, right?
Yes.
And um but before we get into this building, we're standing outside and
Is
to
this Mystic?
prevent yes, Mystical Mike related. Absolutely. I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember
I
this or not.
remember. I
Okay, so
remember this is our first introduction to Mystical, and this fucker is wearing like a Matrix outfit in the hot ass
I,
sun, and we're all trying to escape the sun. They're standing us like the only place that you guys can actually stand is straight up in the sun, right? And
yes, and I
Mystical's
think
there,
we're
and he was perching on like parking
yes.
pylons or
No, he
something.
literally, that's what I'm trying to say. Oh my God, I love you for remembering that. So outside this glass building that has these hot rods, about every 5 feet is a 4 foot tall cylindrical concrete
Yeah.
pillar.
So
So that if
yeah, to keep
somebody
you
were to
from
run into this,
breaking the
they,
foundation when you're backing a truck up, you're going to hit that
absolutely,
first. And it's just the
absolutely. So this
perfect place for somebody who thinks he's straight out of the Crow, Brandon Lee coming out. Except that
he
he was also that day wearing 3 foot platform combat boots.
Oh my God, he did this in boots. He literally hopped up in just a half a second. Once he was on the ground, now he's knees into his chest, hands in front of him like Spider-Man, Batman, the Crow,
I
all of
love
it
it. Yeah.
together, perched at the top of this fucking cylindrical
Hot ass
cylinder.
sun beating down, leather pants, bacon.
I was like blown away. I love you for remembering that. I can't. That's what. Oh my God.
Do you remember how it ended? It was kind of quick.
No.
One of the producers, one of the like the one that kind of she didn't engage. She was kind of more removed. She was kind of like really ugly. Just I don't know everything. I shouldn't say ugly. That's so mean. But she was kind of like she was most of the producers there kind of were like, I started out wanting to be an actor and I changed and I did this, you know, and she was like, I'm just kind of here, you know, like, fuck you. And anyway, so this lady, as a producer or whatever, a production assistant, she just looked at Mike and she seen him up there. She's, oh no, get down. And he was like, oh, okay, right on. And I felt the same.
He's so happy.
He was, it didn't look like, I felt like, oh my God, I'm so hot right now. He in those leather pants and all that. I like when I see kids, like my son goes out in the cold ass Michigan weather out here and he just goes out in his robe. I'm like, go play with the dog for a little bit. He needs some exercise. He'll be like, all right, and he'll go in some sandals and his fucking robe. And I'm just like, it's freezing, man. Don't, you know, the grandmother in me pipes up. And the same when I saw the grandmother in me was like, oh my God, you're so like, you are the hottest out of all of us, which actually we found out later that he actually knew he was, I don't know, maybe, you know, the best looking also equals the hottest. And okay. maybe that went together. I don't know. There was something in me that went off. I was like, dude, get down the fuck off of that. Cause your balls have got to be like, you're never had, this is like no children now. You just baked them things. At any rate,
that's fucking nuts.
Enough about Mike. And you know, I see him all the time. I love Mike. We get along great. I give him a hug every time I see him. We catch up a little bit. I think I just saw him 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Does he live by you, or do you at conventions? You guys do conventions?
At conventions. Yep. We just been hitting the road like that so much, and then he's you know, getting out there and doing it. He's really admirable about it because people do want to know. They talk about Ink Masters, but it never translates, as he explains, into a sale for his tattoos. It's really just 100% waste of his time if he talks about Ink Master. Because they're like, wow, yeah, let's talk about, you know, the worst days of your life and the whole reason why I know you. And so, like, it's interesting to see because he has developed a client list kind of completely aside from that, you know what I mean? Almost whereas everybody else, they can at least use social media platforms and stuff to get clients. And he's like, yeah, that's kind of shot for me too. I have to go up, meet people, say hi, draw them shit, make them want it, tattoo them, and make a living.
Wow, that's cool too, though. I respect the shit out of that. That's cool.
Oh, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Good for him. You see him, you tell him I said hi.
I will, absolutely. I'll say she doesn't want to break a foot off in your ass anymore. What was that? Was that your thing? Was it a foot or a shoe? I feel like it might have been a shoe. Do you recall?
I don't know. Probably a foot. I don't know.
One of those things that they would like we'd never realize how much we might say something, or you just say like, yeah, I say that, but not is so much. And then all like me, I didn't realize how often I rolled my eyes. But it seemed to be the one thing that they were like, let's just get Kyle rolling his eyes again.
Right? They picked the thing. Okay.
Yeah. So for you, it was something about shoes and asses. Or feet, or feet and asses.
Okay. So that dude, all right, the guy who caused the problems, right? Initially, his wife was pretty upset that he was getting tattooed by me, and have we like this? I wanted this to be a teaser. I fucked it up. We're having a great time, but we're talking now about the lawsuit that resulted. I don't know resulted from, but I mean, you're a tough ass bitch. Go. I'll just leave that there. Like you one shot, one punch, knockout, KO'd an unruly MFer, and to the point that he should be further disgraced. And I don't know how much of this you can talk about or how much you're going to make me edit out, call your lawyer. But to the point that he proved even more what a fucking little bitch he was and saw you in court, got knocked out in front of you face to face, and then had to go and plead with the court that you were too much of a threat to his, I don't know what, but that he needed money compensation. Is that incredible? And you know what it said? Let me tell you. It said Ali Lee, Dave Navarro, Spike TV, Ink Master, all of this stuff. I won't get all into it, but versus this dude and his old lady, and at the very top it said concussions and embarrassment. And I'm just kind of like,
which did he get the most? And he actually got money from this, just settled out of court, though we're never going to talk about it.
Yes,
that's what he got.
And
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, she got more because
because she was more embarrassed because she had to go back home with that piece of shit loose.
Well, I'll explain. So from season 3, when he was like, we're talking about the whole thing, and it initially started with this Celtic knot cross that he wanted.
Yeah, and we have to go way back before redemption.
Yes, so we're in season 3, and the main issue, and I'll keep it quick, is he wanted.
Oh, you don't have to. We're here for a podcast. These people they're like, give me a conversation. They're fixing motorcycles right now or cleaning houses.
Understood. Right on. And so this guy, initially a pretty cool dude, and he was really excitable. His wife was kind of upset that I was going to work on it, but whatever. He was cool initially.
She was upset because you were prettier than her.
Whatever it may be. Okay.
It was never stated why then.
Yeah. She just didn't like me. Okay. So she didn't know me and whatever. And so anyway, he wanted this Celtic knot cross that had a 13 on either side of the top short sides of the cross. Right. And I said, okay, I can absolutely do that for you. But I'm Irish. I love Celtic knotwork. Celtic knotwork is continuously unbroken knotwork, in my opinion. And if I were to put a 13 in either side of those pieces of the cross, it would be broken knotwork, which I can happily do, or I can put it in the background somehow. So that's what we talked about. And it was on camera at that moment. He was like, I go, I can do either. What's your choice? He chose for me to do it in the background. We did the tattoo. And then he was on camera hugging me, so happy. Right. And then I don't know if he was coerced, if she was bad, whatever. He comes back at the what's the
who did her tattoo?
Yes.
Okay, so she got an unfinished tattoo that day. Am I wrong?
I'm not sure. I don't remember what she got.
For some reason I felt that, but I guess maybe it was on a ribbon day or something. What day was that special day of the Celtic knotwork for you? Do you remember if it was accuracy or what?
I have no idea. I'd have to rewatch it. It's been a long time. So
I'm just wondering if she was all amped up, super pissed off because he's like, I got this awesome tattoo. Fucking, I love it. And she got like nothing finished. And so she's like, you know what? Everybody has a shit day when I have a shit day. And my husband's my control. So I'm just going to turn the valve on. I'm like, oh, you like that tattoo? Well, let's really dissect it.
That very well could be. Oh my God, you are so funny.
Well, she was already pissed off. And I'm going to say that it was because we have no other reason. Like, she should like people there. Why? There's no reason not to like anybody there from the short interactions that we had. People walked away from Josh Hibbard and were like, no, this guy's all right.
Josh Hibbard, that's who I had in my, that was one of the 3 when we did that. When we did the anyway, great guy.
Super sweet. I had him on as well. Also, he's fucking like, and I had to give him so much more credit because he explains to me he's autistic. Like, I have to grow and learn. Like I would have been very happy maybe to just not like him all the time and just be like, and I grew up a bit in the time that passed, and then we talk. And I'm like, I really got to give the guy a bigger pass than that, Like, I think in all those cases, right, we probably got to calm down and be like, well, maybe they're going through something. When someone's really pissing you off and just trying to work your buttons or cutting you off on the highway, maybe their grandmother is on fire somewhere and they just got the call.
Optimism. I love it.
That's what I'm going with from now on. Someone cuts me off on the highway and it's like, his grandmother's probably on fire. He's going to go put her out. I'll follow him and I'll piss on her and help him.
I love that. Words to live by. Okay.
So Josh was the one that was on the contest with you in the challenge we couldn't think of earlier.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And oh my God, I don't know if you remember when Jason Clay Dunn used to do that weird goat thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
Oh my God, that was so funny. Oh, I gotta come back to that later because my kid's dad almost killed him. Anyway, at a convention.
Little Clay Dunn?
Oh yeah. Like, I had to put my relationship on the line to save this guy's life.
For Jason,
I'm not kidding. Like, he took a photo. I'll just tell you real quick, intermission. He took a photo where his eyes were looking down at my tits, and he posted it.
Oh man.
And somehow my kid's dad, who's Santa Cruz Hells Angels, saw it, and he was so fucking pissed that he literally left San Jose to come to San Francisco to fucking murder this guy. And I was like, oh my God, he was gonna break his art hand. You don't understand what
we imagine alleged. I'm just gonna, in case we use it, allegedly, and we don't know, but that is the same reason that I had of a fear when they had to cut that thing together, was that he was mad of the same kind of fashion. I feel, I don't know, it doesn't bother me. I know some of my friends have been this way too, and I've watched them change, kind of, where they can be super jealous. Like I remember one of my friends got hugged by somebody at the show, or hugged his wife, and he was like, "Whoa, that ain't right." And he came up and he tried to check with a couple of his boys, and he was getting really mad and trying to almost, get factions together of sorts at the conventions. And he was really early on. And he was like, "That ain't right, man. Like, I wouldn't do that to your wife, Kyle." And I was like, "Oh, wait a second. Actually, Carl, the other person in this conversation, we're both trying to calm him down a bit." I was like, "Carl just did that with my wife." Like, literally moments before we even had this conversation, hugged. Like, that's the normal thing that we do when we see everybody.
You're cool and secure. And it's not, but that's not how my dude was at the time.
And I think there isn't a level of that could be related to the group affiliation too. His fear of other people having a judgment now.
He became a club member 12 years into our 16-year relationship. He was always a fighter. Let's put it that way.
Well, I'm cutting all that out because I ain't going to make a target of myself.
Yeah.
And I'm just moving right on.
So check this out. I'm doing a convention.
But little Jason Clay Dunn was looking at your titties in a picture. Was Jason doing it on purpose or not?
But I don't know. Maybe he was just doing that thing where he bugs his eyes and he just happened to be looking down. I mean, I just assumed he made me laugh so fucking much that I just thought he was great. But now at this point, my dude, who's 6'6", 350 pounds, benches 500 pounds. Anger.
I like how it gets. I like how it gets longer as it goes. You're gonna describe him again, and then you're gonna tell me his 4 foot, like he runs a quad in, or I don't know the numbers.
Wait, what was that?
Like every time you've described him so far, we get a further insight into his physicality. Right? Yeah. Okay. Now he's up to benching, and I figure next we're gonna be like, he tows a truck with his teeth.
Yeah. Oh my God. You saw him, right? He fills up the doorway. That's exactly okay. So he's on his way to San Francisco.
And super nice guy, I gotta say too. Like, I would have had no idea that he would have ever been mad at Jason like this, or even me, had you not told me.
Mm-hmm. But if only Jason didn't post this photo, okay? And I wouldn't have looked at this photo and thought, oh my God, he's being disrespectful. But the person that I was with was hypersensitive to fucking everything, which is why after Ink Master, I didn't do a lot of social media stuff, because anytime somebody, we are not together anymore, love him dearly, we have a great relationship, but he was just so crazy jealous about everything. So he's on his way up to San Francisco to annihilate Jason. And I am literally begging with my life for him to leave him alone. Jeremy shows up. Okay. There's quite the height difference between these two individuals. Jeremy comes up to the booth and he finds us, and I can tell his fist is shaking. And now Jeremy's never lost a fight. He loves it more than sex, and he was practically a sex addict. Okay, like they're probably neck and neck, right? So
I follow.
So he looks at Jason. He looks at Jason and he goes, "Come with me outside now."
Oh, Jason didn't do that.
Oh fuck! Jason goes out. Jason is like, he kind of tucks his head and his shoulders go in. And he's following Jeremy outside of the convention center.
He did? He followed him?
He did. Oh, it wasn't going to be good for him if he didn't. And,
really? It would have been worse for him inside.
it was like 10 minutes, probably a million years in Jason time. It's probably one of the worst moments of his life. I don't know. I'm exaggerating, but
No,
it couldn't have been
I
good
bet you're not.
because they come in whatever conversation Jeremy had with it, which he could be very scary when he was angry, you know, and so quick to fight that for him to hold back. I got a lot of shit for it forever for trying to help Jason out. I don't think he really understands. Anyway, so they come back in. Jeremy splits off. Jason comes back to the convention booth with me. And he is, I mean, he's already a white ginger guy, but I mean, if he could be literally colorless and almost kind of sweaty, he just opens this bottle of Xanax or whatever it was, and he takes one and he just kind of sits there and he's just like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God, you poor guy. Anyway, oh my God.
Oh man, yes, pops
he was
Xanax
funny.
That is funny. I think you have to know Jason though too.
Such
right?
a nice guy. Oh my gosh, he's so funny. I think out of everyone, I think Jason Clay Dunn literally had me fucking dying.
Well,
he would.
Fuck
he
that
was
dude.
so
That's
funny.
what I'll say about Clay Dunn.
Oh, I don't know. Do you guys have beef?
I got beef with him right now. He's too fucking full of anxiety to come on the show. He's probably
Why?
still worried your old man's going after him or something.
Yeah.
That's
probably, why would he be worried?
He's like, Kyle, ever since that moment outside with Allie's husband, I was just like, fuck it. I don't need social medias anymore. I'm kind of living the hermit life. Yeah, I don't know. He hasn't there's other people. I shouldn't say he's the only one. And I don't mean to say fuck him. Actually, I love Jason. Same with Tattoo Baby. I think she might be a little bit too big for me. But hey, you know how fame is. It's a fucking ladder ride. So I'll catch her on the way back down.
She's good at all that stuff. I remember for her, I had to talk her down off a ledge for a quick minute. They wanted me to talk a bunch of shit about her, but I wouldn't because we broke out and she was crying one day and I was sitting with her and I was like, dude, what's going on? And she was like, she was living with her dude in Florida and they found like a crop of 200 plants and it was super fucking
say all this shit.
What was that?
I don't know. I've avoided that, like, because I know about some of it, but I try not to because I've been waiting for that girl to come on. But you know what? It's all our story. You were helping her during that moment. Then she needed it. I remember it was crazy back home for her.
It was, and so she had been through
because they were charging her with it, right? Her name was on the lease or something.
I don't remember exactly, so I'm just going to assume all that worked out for her and all of that.
She's got the TV show now.
Oh yeah, I don't watch any of that kind of stuff.
Well, are you familiar with the name of it?
No.
I think it's Cartel Inc. or something. Like, seriously, her father used to work for Pablo Escobar, and also has never been seen since working for Pablo Escobar. Like, he went to work one day, I don't think they punched a clock or whatever, but then 100% this, Scarface. I don't know. We have no idea what happened. He's just missing. So we can imagine, and at any rate, so this is part of her life, she explained at one point, but she also then has this connection kind of with this. I'm not going to say mafia at all. I don't mean to say that or even imply that, but I mean to say with this icon or this kind of, so now there's this Cartel Inc. show that comes out and it's got different kind of mob influenced people or something. Okay. And she's on it.
Oh, wow. Well, good for her. Yeah,
she
was always super fucking nice to me, and the producers would always want me to trick bag her and be like, so do you think that she should be here? And she didn't finish this and that, and I go, you know what? If she made it through and she fucking cut some corners and she made it to the next level, good for her. I go, she's fucking rad. She's one of the coolest people here that I fucking met.
She was, and I was awesome too.
And they couldn't get me to talk shit about fucking anybody. But if I'm going to say it, I'm going to say it to their face, like Mystical Mike. I'm going to fucking say it to your face. But I'm a very, very nice person.
I remember that too. You took the time to, I think other people kind of talked there a little bit. We got a little bit of, it ain't like you just tied right into him. You kind of just waited for the floor. You know, everybody's got a bunch of ego shit to say when they come up from challenges and stuff. And that was going on. And then you were kind of like, all right, here's the thing. Let's just cut through some bullshit for a second. I got something to say.
And you know what? Other subject, I gotta say to you personally, I never really got the opportunity to thank you.
Oh, and fuck, for what? What I do?
I thank you for helping me. It was probably just a small thing and you thought nothing of it. But you were sitting right next to me to my right when we were doing the tattoo machine build deal. And I use rotary machines. And before that, I used pneumatic and all shit. And I didn't use a traditional machine until the very beginning of my career. And I'm like, fuck, I don't know how to put this together. And you picked up one of your machines and you handed it to me and said, just do this. I don't know if you even remember that, but it was it was so fucking rad that you were like that. That's one of the major things I remembered about you is that you
feel like there was a capacitor problem that you had as well. That I think I
got it running.
Now that comes back,
I totally got it running. I just didn't get it running in time, but it was a little win for me, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if you didn't have me your machine to use as a reference. So eternally, I thank you for that.
Oh, no problem.
Also, another thing that I respect the fuck out of you for is always being yourself. I'm not going to name names, but it was kind of funny. It was kind of funny when some dudes would be bros, then the cameras would come on, and then they would just throw each other under the bus and be terrible to each other. And then the cameras would go off. One particular person, not going to say their name, went up
to names.
Elbowed him in the arm and said, you know, we're bros, right? It's all good. And I remember thinking, what the fuck? And I said to myself, I gotta hold my head up high in this industry for the rest of my life. And I will be nothing other than my authentic self. And I just thought that you were that too. And I wanted to
appreciate that. Let's shit on some of these. Have you watched any of the new shows then?
No.
So I'm going to segue right off of that one. Okay.
Nope.
You haven't watched it pretty much since your season then, huh?
Yes, sir. I pre-apologize.
One thing I note that from season 3, you're nothing to apologize for. Fuck that thing. It doesn't pay us, right? Except, of course, for me trying to retain relevancy by rehashing a dead horse.
Sponsorships for me,
they picked up, did they, after the show?
Oh yeah, I did conventions in Belgium. I just wasn't a huge social media person, but all this stuff was happening. Sanoderm, Systane, topical numbing, all these different things. I did different conventions where they paid for everything. I did actually Belgium. It was in Brussels, Belgium. It was two ends of a week, like either ends of a week. So the first week and the last week, and they paid for food, booth, hotel, 2 different conventions, and then we stayed with the Alkmaar Hells Angel Charter, which was a 5-story building in Alkmaar. And those dudes looked at me like I had 4 fucking heads when I told them I had bread in my refrigerator for like 2 weeks at a time, because they get it every day from the bakery, which I thought was funny.
Why is that funny?
Well, they just, I don't know. I don't have time to go to the bakery every day, but it's a European thing.
Right.
Possibly they don't have all these fucking preservatives and shit in their shit.
That's why I'm thinking that they're like, how the fuck can you keep bread for 2 weeks? It's impossible. And you're like, nah, man. Have you had Taco Bell? Leave that thing out for 3 days. It's got no bacteria left. It's still fine.
Oh my god, that's so fucking funny. Okay, so we'll get back to the season 3 part. Okay, so building up with that. All right, lady doesn't like me for some reason, blah blah blah. The season 3 premiere happens, and these people stand up and they challenge me and whatever, and all 3 judges had my back because it was all on camera, which I really appreciated from all 3 judges. And anyway, so then they, that all ends, whatever, and then the redemption series comes up. Okay, and this is when I was telling you that they kept calling, and they're like, and I turned them down a few times actually. And then they kept wanting, because they really wanted to piss me off. They're like, oh, she's so nice until you piss her off, right? And so
so what do we got to do to make TV?
Exactly. They knew that it would just be so much fun. And anyway, so I told him, I said, I will not work on this dude. I'm telling you. And so many different people that I talked to that worked for the show that were like, oh yeah, and exactly what you said. You said it just beautifully. Oh
well, I'll
we
preface that now. We had a conversation slightly before this conversation, which also explains why it just opened up the way it did. And we were talking about exactly, and I know that they kind of didn't tell you that they wouldn't. I prefaced this, and you said this is exactly their words. I think I can say it again. They said, oh yeah, obviously we have no control over who is going to be able to be that will even be there, because there was a number of people, but we obviously also don't want to put you in a situation that you won't be happy.
It could have literally been word for word. Okay.
Or so actually, I shouldn't say happy. They wouldn't say happy. They would say comfortable.
Sure. Absolutely.
So because they know you're not going to be happy.
No, they have this. They knew what to say, and they wanted me to be comfortable, and they wanted me to do this. You can come on here and do something awesome, and it's gonna be great. It's this redemption series. It's gonna be awesome. And I'm thinking, okay. And they're like, we're gonna like blast your shop in Santa Cruz, because I have a pretty rad shop that has like a bunch of graffiti on the wall. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so in the beginning of the segment, you see my husband at the time on his bike, and I'm in my 66 murdered Chevelle, and that's like the beginning of the segment or whatever, right? And then it goes to it, and okay, I remember being on the stage setting up my stuff, and I'm the only one there on this, like, kind of in our little tattoo area. All the other artists weren't there, it was just me. So I'm setting up my machines, and then just out of left field, that dude, I think his name was John, walks up, and I'm like, motherfucker, here we go. Like, it's go time right now.
Were
right?
Cameras rolling at the time then too?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right.
They were. And she was with him. And
yeah, he needed some backbone.
Oh my God. Because he did not, which is super funny when I explain exactly what happened. So he's talking to me, and he's unhappy for whatever reasons. And I'm like, but it's what we discussed and all this kind of shit. And it all comes out, and you can watch it on YouTube. There's a little clip of it. And he's saying all this fucked up shit, and he's pissed that I will not tattoo him. I'm refusing. I refuse to tattoo this guy because he's such a shit. Right. And he started calling me a bunch of names, but it wasn't until he called my mother a whore that I was like, all right, motherfucker. And that's what I said. What you had said in our previous conversation was that what were you saying about people in Georgia?
Oh, shit. Yes, Georgia, Alabama, and Texas. Those are all things that will get you acquitted. Like that. Oh, fuck. Wait a second. Called his mother a whore.
Yeah.
I motioned for immediate acquittal.
Yeah,
I think this trial's over with.
It was over before it started. Talked about his mama. Anyway, so that's exactly what happened. So you can see it on YouTube. There's a little clip, and I go to the end of the stage, and at this point, like I said, what the fuck did you say to me? And he turns around after just spewing obscenities at me. Just fucking vomiting.
Apologize.
No, won't do it. He turns around, comes nose to nose with me. I'm at the edge of the stage, and he's now a foot down below me at the edge of the stage. I'm at the top edge of the stage.
Right, because they had those 3 stairs.
Yeah, there was only one step at this point. I don't remember exactly, but he comes up.
Okay.
He's just a butt hair from my fucking face. And I said, what the fuck did you say? And then he said something again. And in a moment, you kind of just see my wheels turning, because I'm thinking, oh my God, either, like I told you, either this guy's the bitch or I'm the bitch. And I'm never going to fucking live this down from my dude. If I don't do something about this guy being just
called your mama a whore, called your mother a whore. That
was it. So
put his face right in front of you like that.
Yes.
And you had the but now that's stupid on his behalf too. I remember I was on the redemption, got in a fight with a guy the fucking same kind of situation. I was like, it shouldn't be this guy. He's a dick. I won't tattoo him. And they're like, oh yeah, I probably won't. And then he shows up. I did the same thing though. I had him down to where, or at least I was
Wow.
backing him up to
Uh,
where if he had to go backwards, he was falling off of that ledge. So you were had the high ground again,
wow. Yeah.
thinking of your footing. And let me
Yeah.
guess, you come down from death from above. What? How you hit him? You knocked him out enough to cause a lawsuit.
Yeah. So knocked him out. I knocked him out, and I swear to God,
Jab, right hook. What was it?
like I said,
Overhand
I'm
right.
not a fighter. Right hook, right hook. I had been taught, like I was saying, the gentleman
Hollywood
who helped
sucker
me own a
punch. Yeah.
business was the sergeant at arms of the West Coast, and so I was taught. I'm not a fighter, but I was shown to hit properly without breaking my finger bones in case I were to get in a fight.
Yeah,
Right.
you're a tattoo artist. They had to. You got to protect your money there.
And I think it was just this like perfect storm of accuracy and anger and all of it together. And I just fucking right hooked this dude in the nose, eye, cheek area. And I knew that it connected good because I felt like this nitrous oxide turbo booster switch of fucking just it was just
Yeah.
energy. It was insane. And then he fell away for a while. So I knew
like you absorbed his energy like Rogue or something when you connected with his skin. You're like, I take your life force.
I don't even know, but I've only gotten in a couple fights in my whole life. And I remember this feeling. And
yeah, you might be addicted to it.
Right. And I was just, but I'm like, really, I tattoo for a living, but I'm seriously like 1950s housewife. I like to bake and cook and all this shit. I like cleaning my house. It's no joke. Right. And anyway, okay.
1950s housewife with a right hook.
Yeah. Right. So I just remember him kind of like falling away. And in that moment, his chubby wife, who just hated me to the core for whatever reason, and I totally killed her with kindness. So I think the nicer I was to her, the more she hated me. But at this moment, I told him no, and that pissed her off and him and all this. So he falls away.
I think she was mad. She always had her luggage with her. Whatever baggage, that shit was piling up all around her physical body and in her mind. You could see it. There were problems and fractures inside of that relationship because they was into some weird shit too, right? Like we knew shit about their sex life that nobody should know about somebody's sex. Am I wrong? Didn't we find out that they had some weird kind of God damn it, what was it?
I didn't know that. Please enlighten me.
Well, then I'm probably just making all this up and thinking of someone else then, because I thought it was through you that we found out that you're like, they're in some weird ass shit. Anyways.
I don't know about that, but so check this out. So he falls away for a while, and this is the second part that apparently you have to pay another $15 to see. I didn't know because of the lawsuit. I didn't even know that they saw this part. So let me explain this part that I didn't know anybody.
$15. So if you're an Ink Master fan, there's still like $15 and you get extra content.
Yeah, from the Ali Lee Redemption episode or whatever, where I knocked this guy out. But there's a second part that you don't see, or that I hadn't seen, but I heard you could pay to watch. I think my kids and my dude watched it.
Is that fans only or something?
Maybe
it's like some fetishized like hot girls knocking dudes out. Whap whap. Like I'm sure there's a category on Pornhub for just that. Fully clothed hot girls knocking guys out.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, so I don't see him. He must have fallen away. She looks at me. I'll never forget the look on her face. She looked like a fucking bull in a ring, and I held up a fucking red towel or something.
She's charging you now.
She literally charged at me, and I don't think she understood or could appreciate what was about to happen. In a fraction of a second, I had my right hand, I had her hair twisted in my fingers, and I had the base of my hand by my thumb at her scalp. So I had full control of this bitch's head, and I helped her fucking head with her own fucking leverage into the bookshelf a couple times.
Oh man.
And then I remember that she was on the ground on her back, and her knees were in my chest, and I was just fucking knuckle punching her as hard as I fucking could. And the crazy
she was going fetal position, keeping you away, or trying to up kick, huh?
Well, she was trying to get me away, but I was just punching her so hard in her face because I was so angry that she came at me. And that her knees were, her back was on the ground, her face was to me, but her knees were up at her chest and in my chest because I was so
the whole
close
time thinking this isn't the way I pictured this when I started to charge this woman.
No, she thought that because she was a large woman that she would, but I don't know if I just quick thinking. I don't know why it happened so beautifully, but
well, one was the head control. Number one, anybody listening at home, if you want to take anything away from fighting, you can, I mean, do know head, where the head goes, the body will follow.
Yep.
And if you've got hair and you're gonna rinse it up, like you just had to point her head where it went. And then you, just like you said, if she kept trying to put her energy towards you, every single time it would go towards you, you just redirect it towards the bookshelf. It sounds like
it's like her own momentum helped her head into the bookshelf. It was fabulous.
It's the energy of the samurai. That's Hapkido there, or Aikido, I believe. So you had a sphere of energy around you, and as energy came in, it also left, and you just made sure it was not directed at you. Nice job.
I mean, this happened. What else was crazy is at least to me, it was like 4.5 minutes, possibly 5 minutes of fight time with this lady, punching her in the face on the ground. And what's crazy is they kept fucking filming. It was more important for the people to get all of this on camera than it was to break up this fight.
No, you couldn't. 5 minutes,
dude, or maybe 4 minutes. It was an eternity. It was a fucking eternity.
That is such a long fight. Were you winded when you got done? I'm trying to check. You might have just had one of them moments, like you said for Jason, when that time just went super slow.
Maybe
fighting that happens, but
we're
were
talking
you
in this
when
moment.
You got done?
In this moment, I knocked him out.
Yeah.
Then he went down. She came at me. I put her in the bookshelf. Then she's on the ground with her back on the ground, her knees in my chest, her feet in my belly, and I'm knuckle punching her with my right hand, and I'm banging her head onto the ground with my left hand, and it's just an eternity. And you know what? They did not stop filming. You know how that fight stopped? That dude came to. He fucking came out of his whatever. He was knocked out for a minute, and he fucking himself had to pull me off of his wife.
Oh my God, I'm loving
this. They
would
would not stop filming. And then the
I'm loving this because there's a conversation that happened after all of this, right? I want to come right back to where we're at, because we're just getting up to where the guy's waking up from being knocked out and saving his wife, as everybody has been filming like a world star event or something. But there was a conversation that occurred between at least two camera guys, a director, and other people that were on set. And there was a producer that was like, it's not in my pay grade, to take a punch. And we should have had some security. We didn't really think that one through, huh?
Yeah,
and then someone else, the camera guys that were like, man, I could have helped, but I think I had to get the footage right.
Yeah.
And then there was a producer that was like, yeah, right on. You did the right thing. We'll have to suffer the $100,000 lawsuit, keep it. But
it was fabulous.
For the ratings itself, we're making more than $100,000 off of that bitch, right?
Dude, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane. Okay, so finally, because this dude, probably after at least 3-4 minutes, in my mind, it was 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm sticking with 5. I want to go 5. I'm with you.
It was an eternity. It was an eternity.
That is like a MMA bout, from start to finish. 5 minutes, or not start, but one round.
Unbelievable. It was unbelievable from start to finish.
Is she a bloody mess at all?
Dude, what?
Is she a bloody mess at all?
Well, I don't remember exactly. They actually, they might have it on camera. So it must have been taken a while for this dude who was knocked out by me. Not a very huge, not a very big person, but you know what I'm saying? That he had to come to and realize that none of these cameramen or producers were going to do anything about this. And so
have you ever woken up from being knocked out before?
I have not.
Probably not. Oh, so there's an interesting part that we can imagine he was going through for a minute too. As a kid, we used to like to knock each other out. Stupid. We never
Oh my God.
realized. So I can
That's
be
so
knocked out more easily. I probably shouldn't even share that information. Like if I get choked out in a BJJ class or something like that, I have to tap real quick because I know the inroads. My brain naturally goes to fall asleep mode. So
oh
when
my
you come back to though, like there's this weird kind of like disenchanted moment where you're not really in your body. You're kind of like
wow.
hearing audible sounds and making out rough figures of light, but you're not able to control yourself, like maybe a baby that doesn't understand its fingers work or
Yeah.
whatever. And in
Wow.
that moment, then you also start to become conscious of what's going on. Usually for me, it's people looking down and laughing or something, ha ha ha, he's knocked out. um and then you kind of get back and you're like, where the fuck am I, uh and in that moment he probably didn't realize for the first couple of seconds that he was filming. He didn't realize after he realized he was filming, he didn't realize what was going on. He had to then identify his wife and then start to see that she is in trouble and all that. Oh, I love it. I'm sorry. Diatribe. So getting back to, he saves her. How does he save her? Did he hurt
So
you in the
he
process?
so
Or
he's realizing that none of the, and I think this might be why it was happening so long, which, like I said, that's a fucking eternity. That was for me. It felt like an eternity because these guys weren't stopping at the production. They cared more about the footage, exactly how you said. Um, and and so he pulled
yeah, the
me off of
lawsuit's already
her.
happening, whether we
Yeah.
keep
Oh my
filming
God.
or not.
Oh my God. And that they were suing me. I should have sued them but I'm not a dumb
I
bitch like that here. But
right,
uh,
but I wonder that
could have
you
been
couldn't.
self-defense, because they came at me anyway.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
well,
Actually, there's
maybe
no
I hit him.
standing. Well, you
Yeah,
could, at best, you could say claim some kind of emotional trauma from the
yeah,
production company. Be
but
like, I told them not to have this motherfucker. They had
yeah,
this motherfucker. I told them I
yeah.
would beat his ass, so I couldn't be held responsible. They should
I,
have known.
in my mind, I'm not a cop caller, and I'm not fucking somebody that like is too happy. And so I was like,
Right.
whatever, I'm just be over all this, right? And so anyway, so he pulls me off of her. And all I remember is he's got my back to the wall and his hands are around my neck. And I'm still trying
Oh,
to like hit him, but his arm was longer than mine.
right.
And
Yeah,
then
he's a bigger guy than you.
finally, yeah, he
He's a
finally
guy.
he let me go because his wife
They
was
didn't stop
crying on the
him.
ground.
That they didn't stop
No,
him from doing
they
that
didn't
either. Then.
stop him either. No,
See, so yeah, you kind of have a lawsuit. They let you
dude,
take two people on. I follow you're
yeah,
not, but as me, the wannabe lawyer, I don't know. I'd try that one. I'd chase that ambulance. Yeah, no, no, no. Wait a second. Tables have turned. Yeah,
yeah,
she felt threatened enough that she did land a hook, but that fucker was in her face.
dude,
That's an assault. It's
dude, it
not
was
battery,
crazy.
but that guy assaulted you to come that close. That is, there's a
Yeah,
certain amount of safety
yeah,
room that you have. And certainly when a man is angry, clenches his fist, comes in nose to nose with you, you have to feel fight or flight. It ain't like you're like, yeah, okay, we're all cool at the watering hole. No, right
yeah,
now I'm being attacked. I got to get out of this alligator's path. Bam, right hook. He's knocked out. Oh shit, his wife's charging me like a bull. I got to beat her ass too. Wait a second, production company. You left me with two motherfuckers pissed off
yeah,
enough to raise hands at me, to come in close and assault me to where I had to batter them. And then I was left defenseless against the two of them. Yeah, you had a loss.
I wish you were my lawyer in your other life. You would have been a good job, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one of these days, yeah, in my next life, I'm gonna finish school. I'm gonna go to high school. I'm gonna complete that bitch. I'm not gonna drop out 3 weeks before we graduate like I did this time.
oh my
But
God. And
story
it's
for another time. Mhm.
and I'm 135 pounds, and both of them are double my weight easily, and so it's just
Yeah, he
amazing
was
how
2 pounds and she was too. Two bills, and I think he was too.
dude. So he pulls me off, realizing they're not going to do shit about it. So he has me up against the wall by the throat. And then he
Uh,
sees her on the ground crying. She's got concussions. She's a mess. Her face is all fucking red. Her hair's all fucked up. The
yeah.
bookshelf is broken. All this kind of shit. And so he leaves me. They don't pull him off of me. He leaves me to go pick her up and help her away.
Wow.
And I must have felt so good about everything that happened. For some reason, I'm like, fuck, I know it. Like I did my best. And I have gloves on. I have two fucking black gloves on each hand, gloved up. And I fucking just double flip them. I
like
both
flipped them
hands
off?
flip them off, and it's on YouTube.
Yeah, stunning Stone Cold Steve Austin style.
Dude, is it? I didn't know.
I'm gonna say.
I just laughed at
I
them.
was wondering. I would have liked it. You had no one-liner then.
Well, I flipped them off with both hands, and I just fucking laughed at them because it was incredible what had just fucking happened.
I like it. I'm going to open this part up for comments. I hope people put it in the Reddit. We'll try to look for it. My one-liner for it would have been, "Guess my mom's not a whore, huh?" Or, you know, something along that effect. Like, so much for my mom being a whore, right?
You know what's awesome?
I guess as it turns out, your mother's a whore.
Dude, oh my god! And you know, it's funny. My mother is the epitome of righteous religious piety in every way, shape, and form.
And so, like, it struck you as like, this doesn't even make sense. You don't know my mother.
I called her and I said, "Mom, please forgive me. This is what happened. He called you a bunch of names. He called you a whore, and I knocked him out." And
What'd she say?
She goes, "Good for you, honey."
Yeah, she said you had the power of Christ compelling you to. I completely understand. In that moment, Lord was with you.
Yeah.
He gave you that strength.
Or the force.
You will strike down you against your foe that might hurt your brethren with a mighty fury.
Exactly. Oh my god, that was fucking. Oh my god, that's so funny. You are so funny.
So it results in lawsuits and further bitching, but that I got to figure. You told me there's only so much you could talk about, but did you sign paperwork?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. All right, I stopped talking. I was going to get really into it.
But basically, they wanted to they were so, like I said, at the top of this paperwork, you know, which is funny because I get a knock at my door. I'm in Santa Cruz. I'm at home. I'm making dinner for my kids, and I get a knock at the door, and this dude serves me with this packet of papers, and he must have been eating chocolate because there was chocolate all over this paperwork.
Oh God. Yeah.
Like, you know, in his fingerprints all over it. And
hot California chocolate.
Oh my God.
You might get away with that in Minnesota. You know, be a public servant eating chocolate in your car.
Yeah,
cold
right.
ass
And I'm
Minnesota.
like, this guy has no fucking like anyway, I was just kind of the whole presentation of this thing, but at the very top it said concussion and what did I say? And embarrassment. And I was and so basically I was like, oh, what a bitch. They both are. And it was just
right. I've been embarrassed before. You ever push on a pull door? I've never looked for anybody to sue about it.
Yeah, dude, it's kind of incredible. But they threw something at the wall to see what stuck.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of amazing. But you're absolutely right. They made way more money airing that shit but no one ever knew the backstory to that, and that it was the fight not just with that dude that they showed online that you can watch on YouTube when you type in Ali Ink Master Redemption series. There's a whole nother fight that happens with his wife because I think it got so next level that they were worried about, but a lawsuit happened anyway, so might as well. So now you can pay $15 to see it all. And I just
you think that they did probably have that concession. They're like, yeah, but the footage of your embarrassment is now ours. We are buying your embarrassment, and we're basically replacing your embarrassment with your integrity. So you're going to sell your embarrassment to us, and you're going to give your integrity. That's what it's going to fucking cost you. $100,000 of integrity, and now here your ass is getting bitch slapped the fuck out. Like Dana White might have he's got that new slap fight series. You might want to think about contend. Yeah, at least call up your buddy, maybe make it a grudge slap, right? And like be like, dude, here's your chance to slap this girl that knocked your hoe ass out. With just you can man up to 135-pound girl for a minute and tough guy this one out. Open palm slaps till somebody gives up. Yeah, he's got that. He's got that.
Slap.
That's a new fight league. Yeah, Dana White. And then like the best, I don't know. I find you're not probably familiar with Dana White slapping his wife recently then either, huh?
No, I'm not. I mean, I know who he is, but I did not know that. Did he? And it wasn't.
Yeah, I think it's just bullshit though. Like they set it up there like this. He's white. He's gonna make it through this. He's rich. Because look at they Will Smith, the same kind of made up shit. I think his wife was like, I'll take one for the team. We're gonna promote the fuck out of your new series of slap fight. and I'm gonna slap you in a bar. And then Dana White slapped her back, and it was all on video. And it was probably a videographer.
God, it's on video?
Oh yeah. It looks bad, honestly. I'd like to be the guy that defends Dana White sometimes in his remarks and stuff that he says about shit. But then seeing that, you're like, I mean, it looked really, I don't know, it looked comfortable, but there's a thing about it too. When you fight, you get comfortable throwing. So he like bulked up for a second and his shoulders got loose, like he was prepared to throw some hooks, and there goes a second slap on her. He slaps her once, and then he starts to it seems like he might be slapping her again, but as a lawyer again, I like to play, I'm devil's advocate. Okay. It's a dark room. I believe that it could easily be argued that the second slap that you see was actually him attempting to block a slap that might have been coming from her, and him attempting to be from the outside and not be on the inside of that block.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
That's my lawyering.
You're good at this. You should you are very good at this commentary stuff. I would just
miss my calling. I should be a consultant for videos of wives being slapped in court. Like, no, I think there's a lot about the body position. Sure, the first one, but let's all be honest. The first slap is actually reactionary at this point. I mean, it's 4:00 in the morning. He's a rich man. They're drunk as fucking ooted out of their brain on cocaine and who knows what else kind of lavish drugs. She goes ahead and slaps him. Of course, his reaction to say, hey, I shouldn't slap her is a little slower than everybody else's, depending on what kind of, I guess cocaine, maybe, never mind. Anyways, he slaps her. And then the second time, he's actually thinking about it. You see his brain, and he's like, oh, no, I shouldn't slap her. And he pulls himself back. A credit to the man. What a marvel.
Of making us slower, that was definitely something the Ink Master producers fabricated purposely for us to not do such a good job. Namely, at least in the women's dorm area, they kept the lights on until like 4:00 in the morning. Okay, so that was one of the things.
You guys didn't have your own light switch.
I don't believe we did.
I remember that it was way different. You guys had like a little 6-person thing over there. It was kind of nasty, really.
It was kind of a unique setup. And so on the other side, okay, behind my bed and my pillow, right? Mm-hmm. There is this skinny little nothing of a wall that you could just blow over like a feather, right? This very, very, just to paint this picture of a very, very, very thin wall, right?
Right. Crouching tiger, hidden dragon kind of Chinese village.
Yes.
Pagoda, rice paper wall.
Rice paper wall. There is a rice paper wall that is separating my pillow and my mattress from the ice cold Jaeger machine. Right? You remember that?
That is also in the pool room. Wasn't there a pool table there too?
So they're saying to all of us, okay, don't get a lot of sleep, drink a bunch of Jaeger, get shit housed all fucking night and play a bunch of fucking pool and and barely be able to tattoo the next day because this won't be good for TV.
I remember the girls' dorm seemed as though I only peeked into it a time or two, but it had so much more going on in it because of all the wardrobe and type stuff.
Oh yeah.
It seemed more clinical, or at least clean almost, or less cluttered, at least, with 16 men staying in the other stinky ass room.
Wow.
with a
Yeah, and
big
talk
open
about
ceiling.
wardrobe. Dude, talk about wardrobe. They they purchased me one hell of a fucking wardrobe. Okay.
Really?
They, oh yeah. Do you
Because other
remember?
girls were, especially on the next season that I was on, they were like very disappointed with different things that was bought. I guess everything that was bought was not her style, at least for Melissa Monroe. And then I knew other people were like having to kind of fight a little bit to get any kind of clothes budget.
Well, the
And I
shit
know
that
that
they got me, I had my own clothes. So I had my own shit. And I believe you me, when I did the world's biggest tattoo convention in Vegas or whatever, I signed the Guinness books for it. There were like 1,000 artists there. I tattooed that entire convention in 6-inch stilettos and fucking mini skirts. Okay,
right, right.
So
You
I'm good
had a
at that,
wardrobe.
right?
What did they buy for you?
They bought, dude. Okay, just for example, do you remember the very first filming scene, which was in the prison?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember the prison?
Oh
Okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
single needle prison style, right? Which, because that's, super clean, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I was like, they
sanitary
should have
environment.
given us electric guitar string just to play it, like single
Seriously,
needle
don't
cassette deck.
G string fucking
Yeah.
makeshift. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so in that first episode, I am fully wearing their wardrobe that they purchased. They must have spent $1,000 on my wardrobe. They're like, we want this bitch to be in fucking. I still have some of the clothes that
No, I was
they
gonna
bought
say
for
you
me,
get to keep it, right? Yeah.
dude. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, bougie shit too. Okay, so I'm wearing that first episode. I'm wearing 6-inch stilettos. I'm wearing a tight black mini skirt dress, a fucking leather jacket, like a small, tight, cute leather jacket.
Yeah,
Big
perfect
hair,
attire for
fucking.
a prison.
What was that? Yeah,
Perfect attire for a prison. Yeah.
right. It was just kind of whatever. And I remember they wanted
Then
me to wear
nobody
all
on
this shit.
production be like, so we're gonna introduce this girl to this horny ass crew. Like that's really what we're all about. These guys haven't seen, like, they have fantasies about corrections officers and turnkey women in here that look like refrigerators, and we're gonna put this parade of hot women in front of them in stilettos and miniskirts. This is good. Makes sense. Let's roll with that.
And they were there. They just couldn't be in that wing. They had to be, because we weren't there that long. I don't remember exactly where we were, but that was a very interesting
That was an interesting day.
scenario there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that wing was completely shut down, but they were housing, I believe.
Oh
They were
yeah.
housing because why else was, unless they had to staff all that area that we came through with officers and guards, because we had to check through and all that kind of stuff, as you recall.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, of course, the big reveal, we find out that these guys that we're tattooing aren't really prisoners, and that they're all acting, basically. Supposedly they were prisoners before. Do you remember if your guy actually had done any crimes, or
Not that I know of. I don't know. I think everyone's
you
pretty
didn't?
much pre wins the lottery and is pre-selected to get whatever dog
Right.
shit we give them in a fucking single needle, because that is hard as fuck to use. A single needle is like, it just, the smallest I really use, which I applaud anybody who is a bad motherfucker with a single needle. My smallest that I use is like a tight 3. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
my and so
I'm about
that's
there
about.
with you. I've got a couple of singles, and I'll break them out. I used one for the last tattoo I did, and I never even used it. I pulled it out, but I never used it. I used a type 5, actually, I think, in its place, the bud pin 508 5, whatever that matters. And she still was very fuck that bitch. All I can say about that girl that got tattooed by me last time is like, God damn it, I got to change something about selecting my clientele. Like,
Yeah, what was that about? Tell me about that.
Oh, just some people expect the world sometimes, and you bring their expectations down to what you want to imagine they pick you for a reason above just the replication of their crap ass sketch that they sent you, or their their Pinterest searched thing. you're like they ask you to be an artist and to breathe life into their idea, and you go ahead and you send them a sketch of it, and they're like, yeah, I like it but not, so we need to do a change or two to the wings, and then add in all the other crap that, and you're like, well, nothing works with all that other crap. I took some of that crap out because I want to get your expectations down to what can be done in a timely fashion, and then you come there on the day and the girl just, God bless her. God bless her for it. But I'm
Was
never
this
going
at
to
a
see her again.
Was this at a
Yeah.
convention? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's like she'll never see. She bitched and whined about it so much that she added in these things that I'm like, we don't have the time to get this done in this reference that you are. And we'll just have to see you next year. And she's like, I can't have this unfinished piece for a full year. I'm like, I mean, I'm not, what do you do? Like, yes, you are. And go ahead and do it. And you put all the crap on me this day to make sure that you had these tiny, minuscule, fucking no needed, fucking stupid ass angels that were done so small that they don't even look good and they can't hold up. And I told you they wouldn't, and they were going to take time away from the whole fucking tattoo. And now we're making compromises for the rest of the shit. And I don't like to make compromises. And I'm more fed up now even than I was then. I'm trying to explain these things. It's like I would explain it to a child, and I expect, like, my child's an intelligent kid. And so if I lay out fucking, his choices, he's already been given the opportunity to make the wrong choice enough that he realizes that he should listen to me. When I'm giving out the instructions, I'm like, here, we have these choices. We can do it like this. We can do it like this. Here's some of the payoffs. Here's some of the drawbacks.
And you're just seeing them one day. You don't, and that's what you're trying to explain to her. Because I'm taking it that you don't have a set shop. You do constant conventions, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Which is, I applaud that like a motherfucker. That's just,
it's all in reference, right? I really appreciate your applause, and I applaud anybody that can stay at a shop, because I think we both just find different kinds of work at it. Me maintaining a status inside of an area, because like to be a shop owner nowadays, if you're going to have any kind of overhead, you're going to need to sustain that with more artists. And if you're going to have any more artists, now you're going to have more headaches.
Oh my God, it's incredible. And that's why at this point, I totally have space. I have a pretty good building, and I have the space totally set up for other artists. And I just can't at this point with everything I've been through. It's just a well-oiled machine with myself and my shop manager, who I just would shrivel up and die without her. She's just my best friend. I absolutely love her. And like I said, I'm kind of opposite of your schedule. You do conventions on the weekends, I'm assuming. I'm kind of opposite. Yeah. I'm Monday through Thursday. We watch, I use topical numbers. I see one person all fucking day. We continue full back, sleeves, leg sleeves, all this stuff. And there's sitting there, sometimes they fall asleep because they can't feel anything, but really it's self-serving for me, because I want them to sit the fuck still and not be all, and that's how I get through the day.
Those numbers work that good for you?
Oh my fucking God, dude.
You must have done your research. What you're using?
Well, I will get to that. I use two in concert with each other. The first one, I actually Sustain is one of the ones that I'm sponsored by the company. After Ink Master, that was one of those sponsorships, and that is an open skin topical. And once you've broken the skin, say you do a rose, you do the outer edge, and then you do a little bit of shading in the middle, and you put it in, and it seeps in the broken skin, and it spreads underneath the skin, and it's absolutely fantastic, because it takes all the redness and swelling away through the whole course of the tattoo. Some people are like, oh, it makes the ink fall out, of blah blah blah. Fuck that, it's all bullshit. Because between that and the Sanoderm healing patch, dude, shit is healing so absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Totally, I'm kind of anal. I see people back. I do touch up if it's needed, and things like that, because it really matters to me how everything looks. But
I do use topicals, but I typically see something go away in one way, and it heals different than I expect it to. Usually that I need to put a little bit more work into it. And I always have this feeling that I'm doing something different with the, but it's oftentimes I'm just using like a Vasecaine, just like a Vasecaine or sometimes a Bactine or something like that. And then one of the better ones I used was made by St. Mark there for a while.
Okay. Well, that tattoo numbing cream that's all over the place, it's in Australia. That's actually a pre-broken topical. That stuff, we order that in bulk. People fucking love it. And I actually
How
use
long
that.
does that last for?
It
You're
lasts a
tattooing
couple.
someone all day. I've only found them to last for like 2 to 3 hours.
Okay, so but I also apply constantly. So every about 40 minutes. You can't just use it at the beginning and then you're good all day,
Okay.
because the thing about the tattoo numbing cream is the minute you start to, it's great in the beginning, right?
Right,
And then
right.
once you
Then it
start to
comes on
break
like a
the skin,
fucking wall.
yeah, then they're starting to get irritable. You can reapply the tattoo numbing cream. I found it takes about 10 minutes for that to really go in, but the sustain that I've always used, um I I I only use the tattoo numbing cream in the beginning or in a new spot that I'm going to go to. Once the skin is broken, I then use the sustain about every 40 minutes or so to the hour,
Right.
and they don't feel a fucking thing all day long. I
No
got to
color
wait
even.
100%. I won't work without it because I'm so irritated by people that they can literally just chill. And we
Yeah.
watch like 3 or 4 fucking movies a day, and I love it. It's just, and in a way, I'm kind of a snob like that. I love my space. We have the movies going. It's predictable environment. These people are on the schedule for a year, I book
Mhm.
about a year in advance, and which I know some artists don't like Roman. He's like, I hate booking past 6 months because I want to go traveling and all this shit. Well, for me,
Right.
I like to continue
You
large
came
things.
up under Roman. Am I wrong? Didn't they kind of give you some wheels in the industry? His crew?
Um, Roman actually, he guest spotted at a shop I was working at in Fresno. That's how
Okay.
I got to know him. Super fucking rad dude. I learned a bunch of shit from him, and I was working in Fresno for a
Yeah, tell him to
female.
be on my podcast. He'd be a lot cooler.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him for a long time, but I used to see him at conventions, and I had this great big spot that was like a double booth with no nothing in. And this woman, she owned this huge 4,000 square foot tattoo shop in downtown Tower District of Fresno, and it was absolutely incredible. Just skylights and framed art, and just an all star cast of artists. But she didn't have tattoos herself, which a lot of people
Including Roman or or this before he had his own shop?
No, he had his own shop, but we would do conventions in Fresno,
Okay.
and we actually hosted the after convention parties at this huge 4,000 square foot tattoo shop, and there was belly dancers and music and everything. It was incredible. So that's how I got to know Cecil Porter, who did my neck,
Oh wow.
and
Dropping
Roman.
some
Yes,
names there, girl. I
yeah,
remember him. Is
Cecil.
he's still tattooing? I got to mention. I haven't followed him
Yeah,
though in a long time.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can't.
He did a work on my neck from like a trap to behind my ear. But Roman,
And
he
Roman
was
Abraja. Is that how we pronounce his last name?
Abrego, yeah.
Abrego.
And
Right on.
so he was working. He was guest spotting next to me, and that's how I got to know him. And he's a rad fucking dude, super fucking cool. And I learned a couple of things from him. But I used to do a lot of conventions, and one of the cool things when I actually worked at this convention in San Francisco one time, there was a guy who was across the way from me, and I went up to him and I was like, man, he did this portrait. It was black and gray, female face, and it was like on a lower forearm, and it had like a bunch of black around it, but it was so elegantly done, and the black was so black, and it wasn't overshaded, and he really just, and I go, you gotta tell me, how did you get your fucking black so black? Is it the way you packed it in? Is
Right.
it the ink you use, which I don't prefer dynamic, I like Kurosumi, but
But he was using it, huh?
well, I don't know what he was using. He
Okay.
said, you really want to know?
Yeah.
I go, I'm dying to know. He said, I went back in after it was healed and I packed it in again.
Okay. Right.
I
Yeah.
was like, motherfucker, that's so badass. And it was
Yeah.
just, and then what Roman, I love these little kind of one liner, life changing nuggets of brilliance, and
Right.
for Roman, what he said, he was doing something and he was highlighting in it. He'd do this full fucking thing just in front of me. And it would just, he's just so ridiculously talented. And I go, ramen, oh my God, like, how did you get the white so fucking white? Like, is it the way you're packing it in? Is it the white you're using? Like, please fucking tell me. And he goes, you use very little of it. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, I just build up through so many layers of changing the color to white that when I actually pack in the white, I use so very little actual pure white.
Right. That
I
it
was like,
shines where it's at.
yeah, so it's kind of like if you have a white ball, it's kind of gradation scale up to the very center. Probably just the very, very center of that quarter size is actually pure white, but it's
Right.
gradation, of like silvers as it goes to the back. And
But for us artists, as it goes, the midtones are not nearly as fun to work as the more dynamic highlights and shadows. So we're going to
absolutely.
spend some time on the shadows, and then we're like moving right along,
And,
pack in a bunch of white, flatten this thing right out, make it look ugly.
yeah. That's funny. Oh my God, you're such a droid. And so anyway,
My history of it.
but for me though, because I see one person all day and we knock out big fucking chunks. I mean, we solid color, black and gray, whatever it is, we knock out like so when people leave, we know we got some fucking work done. And it's because of these topical numbers and stuff and the way we work at it. But it's like, a lot of artists, do the outline, come back to the shading because the skin, the body's already telling the skin, ooh, heal that spot. But it's kind of cool with those topical numbers that I use in concert with each other, which I'll text you both of those just so you have that through text. It's kind of like when your nipples hard, right? It makes like the skin around like tighter because your nipples hard. Like, for example, and so it makes, because it causes like almost like micro chicken skin in a way, it makes everything tighter and like white. It takes all the swelling and redness away, so you can do something into completion, or at least in a full section.
I feel like that tightness is harder for me sometimes to tattoo through. Like there's a translation that I have to learn. I wonder that you might have learned this too, this patience or this pressure. I feel sometimes like I'm literally fighting the ink at this one point where you're like, wait a second, this is like when my machine wasn't running right, in my apprentice day, or I never had apprentice days, but my early days of lying to people and saying, sure, I know what I'm doing.
Amen.
Yeah, when you're like fighting with it, and you're like, why isn't this going in?
See, I actually feel the opposite. I feel that like once I get to that stage, maybe because I know they're chilling, I'm chilling, because I can feel it when they're getting all tense and then they get squirmy. I don't like that. I like it when they're super fucking calm. You know what I mean? And then I put and they're chilling out. Next thing you know, we fucking watch a couple of horror movies, couple comedies. You know what I mean? We've gone all fucking day, and their ass hurts more in the fucking chair than the tattoo does, and I love that. You know what I mean?
It sounds awesome. So I'm familiar totally with that wall breaking, and that even if when they've tried the number like process, and I think we did get better with it this second time, because I had a guy that came in, he bought his own number offline, he used it was a pre-number, and then I used some numbing during, and I used that during breaks. I think he did a lot better this time, but the first time it like wore off in 2 to 3 hours, and then it was like a wall of pain just cascaded over him.
Yeah, it's so the way I look at it, it's worse. It's worse. It is literally worse to start with it numb and then feel it later than it is just to fucking feel it the whole time. So when you start with that,
so now I'm doing that. Yeah, I'm doing it. I've been doing it different. I'll try this more now, but I sit up and I'm like, I don't tell anybody about it until they're really struggling. And I'm like, all right, here's the thing. I got this thing and it might help. And then they're like, what the fuck kind of asshole has this thing this whole time, sees me struggling like that and doesn't say anything? We're like, well, it's because now you need it. Before it would have been bad.
Well, see, they pay. I have the sustain I use as I give it courtesy because they give it to me, I give it, but the just because I'm such a nice person, and like I said, it's totally self-serving for me when they're
well, you're paying it forward there.
Oh my God,
I follow. And it helps you in that fashion.
Oh my God, 100%. I don't fucking work a day without it, I swear. I just love it. And so but the tattoo numbing cream we actually buy in bulk, like $500 at a time from fucking Australia. And we charge them, you want this pre-broken shit, it's an extra little fee. It's not much, but we they pay for that.
Right.
And but it's, I like that see, if they buy something and they bring it to you and you're not familiar with it, that's kind of a disadvantage for you. If you have something that you're, like you said, but this shit I use is absolutely fabulous. But if you kind of know what to expect, you can kind of navigate it really good. And some people don't. Some people want to feel it. They love it. And so for those people, great. For the people that wouldn't have got the work done, or really struggling or something, especially, or at least if anything,
they need it.
The sustain shit, it is absolutely fantastic.
I don't break anybody's balls anymore, but my wife is still on it a little bit. She uses a numbing cream called Triactin.
Hello?
Oh yeah, can you hear me? Uh-oh. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Let me try this way.
I don't know what I did.
I don't know what's going on. Give me just a second here.
Okay. It says your video is stopped.
All right. Is that working now? No? All right. Now it's working. I don't know what I
pushed with my face here. Hold on.
Oh, okay. It was on your end. You muted your mic. Can you hear me actually though?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
My wife uses a numbing cream called Triactin.
Oh, okay.
She says, Triactin like a man. She says, you want any Triactin? She'll come by in the worst time for some dude, especially struggling in my chair. She'll say, Kyle, you want some Triactin for that? And they'll be like, what's Triactin? That sounds awesome. I would love to get some Triactin because it's got to make this easier.
Oh my God. Is that a joke or is that really what it's called?
No, it's straight up joke. Yeah, it's the best one because they fall hook, line, and sinker. It's like I feel bad about pulling the punchline on them because I know they're in pain and I need to hurt them more. And now I'm just going to demoralize them as well because my wife just came up and noticed their pain and in the most apathetic way just pulled a joke out on them, because you're like, hey, Kyle, do you want to try acting for that? Looks like it's hurting them.
Oh my God, that's terrible. Which actually it makes me think of a moment that I did with Jason Clay Dunn.
Yes.
God bless him. Different convention. I think we were in Pomona. I think
Are we saying that like he's deceased now? Like peace be with him. Jason Clay, yes.
God bless you.
God bless him.
I was just a
God bless Jason Clay Dunn.
And so we did a convention in Pomona, and he was just grinding on this inner elbow, just that soft inner crease, not the actual elbow, but the inside of the bend. And he was just going to town, and this poor guy, oh my God, it was like this poor guy looked like he was just fighting back the tears. He was about ready to stop. And I had already told, because way back then I'd been sponsored by Sustain. And I go, hey, you want to try this stuff I got? And he's like, yeah, cool, whatever. And I was like, cool, right on. Well, this guy was fucking dying. I mean, he was getting it was already done, but I swear it looked like it was just going and going and going. And I was just like, oh my God, this poor guy. And Jason went to the bathroom, and this guy was like, so what's that stuff that you have? And I go, oh, it's this. I was going to give some to Jason. And he goes, I'd like to try that. And I go, okay, that's probably okay, because I told him I'd give him a bottle, and he wanted to. And so It was the guy asking me, right? I was like, oh, okay. He's a grown ass man. He asked me for this topical number, and I gave it to him, and he came back. Oh my God. Jason was like so pissed. Like, I didn't really tell because he was a little passive aggressive about it, but he was so pissed that he knew something had changed and that this guy wasn't in so much pain, which is kind of funny. But when he packed up and left, the table was clear. The only thing left on that table was that fucking bottle of Sustain that I left for him.
See, I don't care for it either. Sometimes I'm like, let me manage my pain. That's why the Triactin, that's when it's really good. I will use Triactin in the event that it comes by and somebody makes their own kind of suggestions like that. Like, hey man, could we put some, like some kind of number on it or something? I'm like, I've got some triactin.
Yeah.
I'll pull it out then.
Funny. And to each their own. And a lot of people don't like to use stuff like that. That is just my
I
personal
like to use it now. I completely am converted because it is harder on some people, and I need to make money for the day. And doing a tattoo convention, I don't get to figure out how tough you're going to be. And also at the convention, sometimes it's just heightened, because there's so many people walking around.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
there's titillating things to see. It's extravaganza, a festival of lights and all.
Yeah.
So as you're there, you might feel like everybody's watching. It could be rough on them. So I like it. However, yeah, I don't know. Like for me, I don't like to use Candy. Gave when I was getting my neck done, she gave me some kind of, I can't remember, some kind of like Vicodin or Percocet that she had stored away for her own tattoos.
Uh-huh.
Like some back pain stuff that she's like, might need a tattoo one day on the inner thigh. We'll put this in the
Right.
safe. And so she was like, here's for your neck. And I was like, man, I don't know. And luckily I lost it, or I don't know, bad I lost it. I would have taken, I remember going into my pocket, like, because I was hurting so bad. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to have these fucking Percocet, whatever the fuck they are now. And I opened up the thing, and there I didn't have it. I was like, oh, the fuck. Somebody, hopefully it didn't go nowhere. At any rate, yeah. But I feel, I don't know, when I get tattooed, I feel like I want to feel it, because
a lot of people
as a tattoo artist, I give it. And if I'm going to ask them to take it, then I feel like I kind of need to be able to give it or take it myself. I mean,
100%. And I guess for me personally, this is just myself personally. I know a lot of people are different. I definitely like to maximize the day, and
yeah.
and if that will add a couple out, it makes the day more fruitful because they're in a calm state. Also, because I am a mother, I do care, and when they start to kind of, even if they don't say anything, when they start to kind of cringe up and stuff, I feel it.
You
And
feel
I
it.
like
Yeah.
it when they're I like it. I almost want to kind of knock them out and finish and wake. Oh, you're all done. You can wake up now. You know what I'm saying? Because
I do.
it's self-serving for me.
I do. Yep.
But to each their own, and I
But that
respect
does it
all
for you
ways.
then. You've
Oh,
been, were you, Sustain was your sponsor when you were
yeah.
on the show originally then too?
After it was right after.
Okay.
So Sustain topical blue numbing gel, which is absolutely fantastic. I swear by it. Even
Would
if you
you
don't,
would you
go ahead.
recommend this show then? I'm curious that, because these things popped off in the being able to travel worldwide. Would you recommend going on Ink Master to younger artists that you were mentoring or showing the ropes, or would you tell them to steer clear of things like that?
Well, that is a loaded question. Um, also, comma, I don't even know if they're still airing. I mean, are they still doing seasons?
Yes, I just had Creepy Jason on the show yesterday from this latest season 14.
Wow. Okay. Yeah,
I love it that you're that. I mean, not like this is the hub of the world anymore. Now that network has been destroyed by streaming platforms, you have to go to Paramount. But
oh,
I was able to find a way to bootleg it. Anybody should be able to. There's
yeah.
hacks out there, and
You know, I don't even know how to answer that. It was definitely a kind of a double-edged sword in a lot of ways for me. It was so good, and it was also hard in a lot of ways, like for my relationship being with someone that was like jealous and controlling and crazy
already, yeah, and then it goes
and
crazy
the
with your
lawsuit
image.
was scary for a minute, but otherwise, I loved. I just had, for the most part, I had a great experience. I love, like, everyone there, at least for season 3 for me. I just loved the cast. I thought everyone was rad. There was nobody, even Mystical Mike, that we had that situation. I still wish him the best. And I just thought it was just such a rad crew of people that I loved, for the most part, my experience, but I know that things kind of changed as the seasons went on. I think right after our season, I think things got considerably harder. I mean, like, and when I say that, I mean, for example, like
Mhm.
one of the times that we were going to meet somebody to draw. We do photo shoots all day long. It's 10 o'clock at night. You were there, you know this. 10 o'clock at night, we're meeting with our client. We have between 10 o'clock at night and midnight to
Mhm.
consult with these people. And then between midnight and 6 in the morning, midnight to 6 in the morning, that's 6 hours
Yeah,
to have
to
slept,
draw.
do the art, and for me, being a female, be camera ready, which
Right.
is,
Yeah.
heels and mini skirt and big hair and
And
all
they
that
weren't
kind of
putting our
bullshit.
makeup on for us. Well,
Right.
for you. Yeah. Well, not for me, obviously, but they weren't putting it on for you girls. Like you guys had to do your makeup, and then they would have like a girl that would come by and kind of pretty you up or
Yeah,
whatever,
they
like
kind of
apple
did.
apply, whatever.
I actually did all my own everything. I got a couple tips about stuff, but I preferred to do it myself. But yeah, so that was like so for me, that would be 2 hours of drawing, 2 hours of sleeping, and 2 hours of getting ready and so
Mm-hmm.
they definitely don't in every way, shape, and form set you up for success. And I heard it got considerably harder after that. And
I
so
think they were making them draw the same day, but I think
I
they might. There might have been a freedom in that too. I wonder that if I because we were meeting them at 10 o'clock, as you explained. So I'm thinking if they were meeting them earlier in the day and then drawing in that short period, 3 hours, 2 hours, whatever, to prepare your tattoo, and then tattooing, I feel like that's more for me, kind of the way it goes, anyways.
anyway,
Like,
yeah, conventions on the spot, which
yeah,
is
instead of
total.
sleeping overnight and doing it, it gives you, because of the pressure of still trying to get a day's worth of sleep in,
Yeah,
everything was harder, right? You know
no
what I
one.
mean?
And so when I did conventions, I'm like you in that way where I do well under pressure like that. There's all these people you gotta, one of the apprentices that I had, I mean, the stars had to be aligned for her to be able to tattoo. I love her dearly, but she did a great job. But I don't think she would have excelled doing the convention line so much. But for me, what were you saying? You were saying just the same day, but I lost my train of thought here.
That's what we
Anyway,
got editing for. So with complete confidence, of course, I don't know if we'll edit it out. Candy sometimes doesn't find things. Give her the longest pause and then she'll find it. I don't, I'm sorry, I don't remember. I know that it was more about the time frame of the show itself, and how it changed. I think one phrase, like if I wake up in the middle of the day, I meet my customer, I'm in an artist mode and I'm
yeah,
ready to go. And then I do my art and then I get to tattoo it that day. And although I'm stressed from the earlier part,
yeah,
tattooing is my default. So it's actually my stress reliever. So it works out perfectly and I sleep at the end of the night.
yeah.
When you have the anticipation of doing the tattoo and being prepared for it and also managing your sleep, I felt like that was the harder thing to
Yeah.
manage.
Oh, I
That
remember. So, but see, that's one of the things though, is so I can work like that. At this point in my career, I really like to work the way I do now. However, in that situation, oh my God, I fucking, I'm getting tired now. Forgive me. Hold on just a second. You had just said, um, I'm sorry, Kyle. I,
you keep on going back to this apprentice, and I feel like the emotional attachment of this poor apprentice not really succeeding pulls you back a bit from your train of thought. Am I wrong?
no, you're right. Well, I don't
I
even
hear
remember.
the failure and you're like, oh, this poor girl, she really tried. Because that's where you got off track. You were explaining the your I think you're getting around to explaining how comfort is the part of tattooing, or is such a part of tattooing that it taken out of context alters so much. And I think I see that. I don't know if you were going to go with that in Ink Master, because but I think that obviously applies there too.
Oh, I
But
remember the drinking. I remember. Okay, so a lot of people, especially that don't have kids, some do, some don't. A lot of people can function well when they have been partying all day, all night, and then they can work the next morning on no sleep. And so I think with that Jaeger machine and the pool table and all of that, a lot of those dudes, or a lot of
mm-hmm.
primarily dudes, can are used to partying a lot and then just making it happen the next day. I personally am not somebody that can do well on no sleep. So I think that's where some people were able to do really good. I do good at conventions where you kind of got to, work, be a swan in the chaos. But when it comes to, as long as I've slept the night before, I'm good to go. But that's where I had a hard time, was the lack of 6 hours of sleep, which other people were better at than myself, was
Well,
my
I
point.
think there's a level of anxiety too to managing, knowing that I have to draw is one thing before but knowing that I have, like, I don't sleep sometimes before a tattoo convention, right? So I don't sleep good Thursday night a
Oh,
lot of
yeah?
times. Yeah, I just knowing that I've got the day ahead of me. I'm meeting with my client that we've already got this thing. I can be worried about how that's going to go. Um, is Pennsylvania going to be open up? The stencil area. Are we going to be able to do these different functions of the tattoo? That anxiety sometimes gets me. I get anxious. Now, that same thing obviously applies at the show, at the convention, or the Ink Master show, but also the fear now of like the already anxiety that keeps me up, but now also knowing that I have to manage that prior. You know what I mean?
Why
Like
don't
like
you get one of those little?
knowing that I have to try and force myself to go to sleep at some point tonight. I have no idea how.
Oh,
After doing
shit.
this long ass drawing and trying to rack my brain to put it through the hoops, my creativity's lost, my energy's all gone from the day of shooting, and then I also have to worry about, I know I'm not going to sleep tonight.
Yeah.
Like, why
That's
even?
better you than me then in that situation for sure. Which with the stencil makers, they have those little portable ones that are awesome, that you can make sure that you always have that available for
Oh,
yourself. They're like,
I refuse to use them.
do you?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Oh, I've got a dear friend who runs Stencilvania at the tattoo convention, and just as a matter of keeping him alive and in support, I go to see him and hope that my airdrop works. That's not necessarily true, but
Amen.
there is some truth to that. I don't care to. I could get the S8s or whatever, but I really rarely use stencils. Most often, I'm freehanding on the skin.
Oh my
Uh,
God. Thank you, God. I really appreciate that you said that. I do a lot of pre-drawing, but if an artist cannot draw, for the most part, a sleeve with their fucking Sharpies, you probably should not be tattooing.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I'll give you that. Actually, I was going to try and say I wouldn't quantify it that, but sure, you probably shouldn't be tattooing. A lot of things probably people shouldn't be tattooing, but not to me that means they should stop tattooing. Because when I first started tattooing, boy, I should not have been tattooing. So I would have
True. I hear
never
you. That's
gotten here if I had stopped at the first point of somebody being like, you shouldn't do that. But
well, all my point is I'd love to know that people can do it on paper first, that you can,
right.
that you have art skills as a whole, and then that makes me feel good to know that you can. Yes, it totally saves time to
Well, I find if
pre-draw
I draw on the skin, it fits the skin. I
better.
already have to apply the shape of the body.
One.
Also, if I can do it with an ink pen, I can do it way better with a machine. So even if it's like what this is the part that I probably shouldn't admit to, the part that I like about it. But if I set up their expectations so low, right, with a stencil that is all nasty, and they're like, I can't read that. It was a bunch of green and red Sharpie with a couple of black ink pen marks, and then he made something that looked halfway sensible. They're going to see that transformation and imagine it, the halfway sensible that I end up with is actually beautiful. I'm like,
Oh
oh my
my.
God, it's beautiful. Well, you should have seen what it looked like before, you know.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. You were so funny.
It's life at this point. I think that people they got it. There's something about me and my tattooing generally that my clientele find. And that's with all of us, I think, right? Like you might not be the person that you want to be. You kind of suck compared to who you want to be. I always want to be a different tattoo artist. I used to want to be Joshua Carlton. I used to want to be Guy Aitchison. I used to want to be Roman Abrego. I wanted to be all these different people, and I never achieved it at any point, but I've always been working. And there have been people that came up to me so happy about who I already was based off of my work, not even just, so yeah, I was like, I kind of suck, but people still somehow there's people that love my kind of suck, and I just got to look for those people that like that kind of, and then you got a whole life.
That and is maybe priceless.
in this earth, isn't that what we're supposed to communicate with people anyways? And maybe you're not supposed to communicate with everybody, but you're like a lightning rod for certain kind of. So unfortunately, I don't get all the winners, but like that's like I don't like winner people, maybe even. Honestly, I like Nate Diaz is one of my favorite MMA fighters, not because of his winning record. And not maybe because of his winning attitude, but because of his persistence.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I don't even know where this leads now.
Well, hey, I gotta get going anyway because I gotta work in the morning. So anyway, but wow, it was fantastic.
Let me sign off with my sign. I because now I can finally actually say it completely. I have stayed too long and I have said too much. And with that, Allie, thanks so much for being a part of the podcast. I really appreciate it. Anytime you want to come back on, you got anything you want to put on the platform, you're more than welcome. Get a hold of me. We'll do this again. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. Keep in touch over social media.
We'll do. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Okay. Bye.